All right, y'all. We back with another joint. They say they got some new evidence or just some video that the jurors saw, which made them come to the decision that they came to, in which y'all know he was found guilty and he got 35 years. This is the Karmelo case. I seen like bits and pieces on like Instagram, little clips, and on Twitter. It didn't show anything. Like one dude was like, a new case is coming. The judge granted a new case because of this new video evidence. Literally saw nothing in the video. You saw the brothers walking behind Karmelo and some other guy, like just I'm guessing walking into the stadium. It showed absolutely nothing. Like I don't know, but in this video, it's saying that they got footage. So I mean, we gonna see. You know how these go. I watch them with y'all. I don't be knowing what's going on. I see the headline, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna just watch it with the people. You feel me? So we gonna get into it. Yo, like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow me on Instagram at Street Costello. Also TikTok at Street Costello. Facebook, all that good stuff. But yeah, definitely follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Street Costello. But yo, let's get right into it.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Now, for the first time, we're seeing the footage that helped convince jurors Karmelo Anthony was guilty of murdering Austin Metcalf.
What's your name, man?
Karmelo Anthony, K-A-R-M-E-L-O.
Shocking new body cam captures Anthony's first words about what he claims happened.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
But does the video tell a different story? We have the body cam, the surveillance, and the moments that turned track meet.
It looked like it was shot on a toaster. What did they recorded this with a microwave? What is this? Look like the footage when they showing Bigfoot.
Mayhem into a cold-blooded murder. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. We have a lot to get to in this episode. Cody Thomas from Court TV, who is one of the few journalists in the courtroom for the entire trial, will be here in a moment to break down what we're looking at as we go through this surveillance video of the moment Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf, as well as some of the pictures that have now been made public. One of the challenges in covering this trial was no cameras were allowed. So we would hear about this surveillance video, which you're about to see, of the alleged confrontation between Anthony and Metcalf, and we would read the police documents that laid out what Anthony allegedly said to officers on that day. But now, after the verdicts, and now that Anthony is in prison for as long as 35 years, we are seeing the evidence that everyone inside the courtroom was able to see during this trial.
Now that the case over, everything's just out.
It's the alleged suspect.
Okay.
I am.
Said alleged.
No, I'm not. I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. I did.
Okay.
See, even he
That
said,
is
no, I'm
body
not
cam
alleged. I
video
did
of
that
an
shit.
officer
Yeah, I did
arriving
it.
on
Stabbed
scene
him.
after Karmelo Anthony had already been placed in handcuffs. And in that body cam, you can hear Anthony tell the officer that he is not alleged to have stabbed Austin Metcalf. He says he did it. We do have more body cam video to show you here in just a moment, but I want to begin with the 911 call that came in from the track meet in Frisco, Texas in
I'm
April
pretty
of
sure
last
there's a
year.
whole lot of them.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Okay, do you know who
At a
stabbed
track
him?
meet. We have no clue. He was sitting in our tent, but you need to send an ambulance right now.
They're on the way, okay? Give me a description
Who
of
is
the
that?
person that stabbed him.
Is that Karmelo?
He was wearing a gray Essentials hoodie.
No, that's
He
that's
was
Karmelo.
black. He's standing out on the track right now.
He's standing on the track.
He should have kept running.
Okay.
His blue sweatpants on and gone.
Okay, what did he stab your friend with?
I don't know. My friend's bleeding everywhere.
Okay. Okay.
This
Where was he
video is
stabbed
after
at?
the stabbing?
The chest.
Okay. And do you still see the person that stabbed him, or did he leave?
It was Austin. Austin got stabbed in the chest. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The person that stabbed him, is he still there? Do you still see him?
Coaches detained Karmelo until police arrived, and you hear in that call so much chaos and panic as people are tending to Austin Metcalf. Austin would die from a stab wound to the chest, and at trial, the medical examiner said there was no way that Austin could have survived an injury that severe. Now, this is a 911 call from a coach who was trying to save Austin's life.
We have Army veteran that's trying to keep compression on the wound.
Okay. Are you with him now?
And it looked like it's raining out there.
How old is he?
Starting to go unconscious.
How old is he?
High school age, so maybe 15, 16, 17.
Okay. Is he awake?
No, he's going unconscious.
Okay. Is he breathing?
Not right now.
Breathing.
Not over.
No, he's not.
He's not breathing at all?
That's the knife? See, I never seen a knife. I was hearing people say, oh yeah, he had a knife. And then I was hearing people say, no, it was like a utility knife. When I think of a utility knife, I think of like the Swiss Army joint. The joint that got like the corkscrew, a little screwdriver, the little multi-tool. I mean, the little blade, just different kinds of little gadgets on it, like some MacGyver type thing. You know what I mean? I'm thinking one of them. This was an actual knife. This is like just a regular pocket knife. You know what I mean? Like, he was ready to get busy, and he got busy. You know what I mean? And that's what it's looking like. I got cash back from where? Okay, credit card, do something. But nah, I really thought, because then some people were saying that it was like the tool to tighten your cleats up. This is a knife, but I'm not sure if Law and Crime did this for dramatic purposes but it looked like those are the bleachers and that's the actual weapon that he used, and that's just a regular knife. And then I know me myself, I was one of the guys who was saying, why are you even bringing a knife to a track meet? I mean, you in high school, you just going to a track meet, y'all there to compete and go home, and this is a waste, so y'all go there, compete, go home, and get your ride from your school. You see what I'm saying? Like, why do you even have a knife? But then I seen an interview with Dr. Umar, and he kind of rebutted that, and he was like, the same way that white people, they get up and they put their gun on their hip, they don't go outside expecting to kill someone that day. Because the whole narrative was the reason he had a knife because he premeditated and planned on killing someone that day. It was like, I mean, the same way people get up, put their outfit on, throw that gun on their hip, and go outside in society. Karmelo got up, put his knife in. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to protect yourself. So, I mean, like, and granted, I'm from a different generation. We brought guns to school. I mean, we weren't on no Columbine, but yeah, we brought guns to school. Gun in the book bag, throw that joint in the locker. You know what I mean? Get out, football practice, you got a gun in your bag. I mean, it was regular back then. I don't know. I mean, won't nobody in there trying to, hey man, I got this, I'm gonna go do something, but nothing like that. Yeah, you couple of joint on, especially if you was outside, and plus you was just reckless, but you stayed with a joint though. But nah, so I can't be the pot calling the kettle black because we carried weapons to school. But in this generation, everybody's just reckless. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's more deaths now than ever. I mean, it's more school shootings, there's more mass shootings. It's just like people just dying like recklessly and religiously. Like people are just going. So him having a knife to protect himself, yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm guessing the hindsight is 2020, but looking at the glass half empty, yeah, but I don't know. Because it's like you just going to a track meet. It's like being at a basketball game and you got it in your compression shorts. It's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, playing football, you got to tuck under your shoulder pads or something. It's just like, yo, you doing way too much. You got beef like that, yo. You need to go switch state. You need to switch states or something. Like, go somewhere that nobody knows you. Like, what are you doing? But like the way Dr. Umar said, like, yo, white people don't go out intending to kill somebody. I'm pretty sure Karmelo didn't go out intending to kill Austin. Like, and from like everyone said, Karmelo was just there, and they said that Austin came up to him, confronted him. And this is also another thing, because we made a video on this before. And they said that Karmelo was the aggressor the whole time, because he was like, touch me and see what happened. Touch me and see what happened. I get it. You know, that's black people. I can hear. He's black. He said it. He definitely said that. But from we hearing it, it made it seem like they stood up and they was in a stance where he was like, he's premeditating, like he's about to do something. They say Karmelo never even left his seat. Like, literally, he was just sitting on the bench. Austin was like all up in him, all up in his girl, all over his back, or like all in his face and whatnot. And then Austin pushed him. And then Karmelo defended himself. Karmelo didn't even leave his seat. Like, this is new information I'm finding out more recent. Like, that is crazy. And they made it seem like he was aggressive, like he was like the big bad bully. And then you think about it, during a trial, Austin has a twin brother. The twin didn't even take the stand. And that's crazy. A twin that was there. It wasn't like he was at home chilling. Like, no, he was there. He witnessed it and didn't even take the stand. I mean, granted, you see what happened. So he did. I mean, like, the prosecution didn't need the brother to take the stand. But it's like, your brother got killed. You was there. And why wouldn't you take the stand? Because they were trying to say that it wasn't just Austin that was right there bullying him. It was him, his brother, and maybe a third. And he was outgunned. He's like Carmelo's like 5'8", 130, 135. These big football playing country white boys is getting up in your grill. You still sitting down minding your business. You done gave warning after warning. You'll touch me, see what happened. And he touched you. But it's not just one. It's three of them. I don't know, man. I mean, you got to defend yourself. I didn't know that was the blade, though, because the stories kept switching. It was one of the tools you use to sharpen your cleats with. No, it was a utility knife. Man, looking at this, no, that was a knife. That was a knife. That's the knife that 21 Savage be talking about. That's the knife. That's the poker. That's the American me right there.
No.
Okay, where was he stabbed at?
In the chest.
There was a moment as we go through these 911 calls where coaches thought that Austin started breathing again and that there was this sign
that was
of
that
hope
last gasp
that
of
he
air
could survive.
as his soul left
But
his
the
body.
Army veteran who was tending to Austin, he was also a coach. He testified at trial. He told jurors that he knew that Austin was gone. And I want you to listen just to the background of this call here as coaches are doing chest compressions on Austin Metcalf. Listen to the
That
chaos.
was probably the worst thing they could
Freaking
do.
out, and they were just trying
He's
to
bleeding out of his chest, and you're doing chest compressions. You're just making him bleed out more and more
Let
quicker.
me know when they're with you, okay? Like I said, I'm not just going to until they're with you. Let me know if you stop breathing, okay?
Come on, Austin. Come on, Austin. Come on, baby. Come on, you got this. Come on.
Okay, we got the suspect, okay? So you guys just focus on him, okay?
Okay, thank you. Come on.
I'm going to keep you with me, okay, until they're with you. Is he breathing still?
He's trying, yeah. We're doing compressions and giving him mouth-to-mouth.
Okay.
Austin
Coughing up
died
blood,
at
probably.
that track. I want to show you now the body cam video of when officers detained Karmelo Anthony. And I want you to listen to what Karmelo says and how his tone changes as he perhaps realizes what he just did.
Hold on. And I'm just protecting myself. If somebody is treating the victim, they need to be over there.
Under a memorial tent.
Don't reach for anything, all right, man? Stop right there for me.
Right there.
Dispatch 443, I got the suspect, and they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right, any weapons on you like that? Go ahead. I'll look here.
And like I said before, they was both in the wrong. But people always tell your kids, someone hit you, hit them back. No one tells their kids to not bother people, to leave people the fuck alone. No one tells people that. So they was both wrong in this situation. Austin should have kept his damn hands to himself.
Dispatch 443, everybody can slow down. I got the alleged suspect in handcuffs right now, detained.
Yeah, we code 4. I learned that from watching SWAT. What's his name? Hondo? Hondo be like, code 4 all around.
Have him come to the north east entrance. That's gonna be a gate that's wide open there, and then you come to the victim from there. This is the alleged suspect. All right, bye. Okay. We'll figure that out. So nothing on your person at all? No, nothing? No, sir. Mind if I reach in your pockets and stuff and all that? Nothing gonna stab me? No, sir. Okay. I'm gonna be out with this. I'm gonna be a little personal there, okay? Just to make sure.
My car's right there.
Okay. Yeah. You want me to get up now? Yeah. Come on. All right. The victim's gonna be underneath that tent over there, so I'll get medics.
So they ain't even called the medics yet, and the medics just chilling. They like, yo, he dead already. We all right.
Guys. All right.
We just gonna get here just to get here.
I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
What's happening right now? Victim is over here on the north end. They got staff standing to him right now. This is the alleged suspect. All right. Already? No. We searched them. We got nothing.
I don't know what happened.
Officer needs some ink in them tattoos, don't you?
Crazy.
That's the wrong thing.
Crazy.
Oh, my side over here or your side? It's up to you. It's up to you.
That's fine. This is closer.
Okay. Let me do one more little check of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't mind for reaching your pockets, anything like that? You good?
You're just wearing this one pair of pants?
No, I'm wearing some little underpants.
Oh, yeah. But it's not
Like,
pocket.
no, ma'am, I don't think so.
What's your name, man?
Karmelo Anthony, K-A-R-M-E-L-O.
Crazy.
Have a seat here real quick, man. Watch your head. Let me check your hood here, buddy, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, lean this way so you're not resting on your hands, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
402, I'm on scene.
So your first name is Karmelo?
Yes, sir. K-A-R-M-E-L-O.
Let's see, hold on one second.
Is he gonna be okay?
Hell no, he ain't gonna be
Karmelo,
okay. That nigga
C-A-R-A.
dead.
K-A-R.
K-A-R-M-E-L-O,
M-E-L-O.
Carmelo. What's your last name?
Anthony.
A.
You said it and they spelled it 3 times.
O-N-Y.
O-N-Y. What grade are you in?
I'm in 12th grade.
10th grade? You go to Emerson?
No, sir.
Where do you go? Centennial. Okay.
I'm in 12th grade.
12th grade?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, Centennial.
Boy,
All right, sit tight for me
senior,
real quick, bud, all right?
senior year. He probably
There is no
had
up
college
close video
dreams
of the
and things he
stabbing of Austin
planning
Metcalf.
on
There was
doing after
only
that.
this angle of the confrontation. It is from a camera that was mounted on the top of the stadium where the meet took place, and the camera is pointed at the tent which belonged to Austin Metcalf's team. Carmelo's defense team argued at trial that Karmelo was invited under the tent, that he had a friend of his girlfriend who was on Austin Metcalf's team, and that friend had waved him over. Now, the state argued that Karmelo never should have been under an opposing team's tent and that he refused to leave when he was told to
that's
go.
not
And that led to
illegal.
a confrontation and a shove that turned to murder. Join us now to talk more about the evidence that we're all now seeing on the outside for the first time is Cody Thomas from Court TV, who is in the courtroom for the entire trial of Karmelo Anthony. So here's the surveillance video, and you described it as like in you know, I don't know directly the words, but it's like you can't really take a lot away from it because like you see the
You
moment,
don't see anything.
you see some sort of scuffling, perhaps the shove inside of the tent. But to your point, I mean, it is just, it's not a lot when it comes to maybe what people were hoping they were going to see when they see this. Like, what stands out to you now that we're all kind of watching what you were describing in the courtroom?
Yeah. If you remember when I described Chris, I described it that same way. You can tell that it's very zoomed in. You know, it's over pixelated because, you know, the camera's coming from across the football field. But of course, everyone is
What
highlighted.
that's supposed to mean? You
the
seen the
moment.
NFL
You know,
cameras?
Everyone's, you know, dissected it, and you see
This is
what
recorded in
is,
10p.
You know, assumed to be the shove, and you can see again the force of the shove. You see that it's a push. But other than that, you can't really, even in the courtroom.
They recorded
it
that
was
on a
never specified, 'cause
Motorola
it was a big
Razor.
deal about
That was
who was
bad.
standing, who was sitting, who was where, who was this and that. It was never really specified under the tent who was who. Of course, after the shove, you see immediately 2 to 3 seconds later, you see Karmelo, who is highlighted and spot shadowed, run, you know, to the 3 or 4 or 5 bleachers up, which is also where the knife was found. That's where the knife was found, you know, where they threw it and the body cam caught it up. But then you see him running away. But that's about the only, you know, distinguished individual we see in that video. But of course, what stands out is just the moment itself, because the minutes leading up to the moment are just, you know, people are just there. Just these humanoid figures under the tent. You see people walking by. There's not really much of a commotion happening outside of the shove. And even when you watch the moment of the shove, you don't really see too much going on outside of the shove itself. And then all of a sudden you see a bunch of dispersing and scattering because, you know, people are realizing, oh, somebody's been stabbed here. But again, the video had minimal things for realizing.
You see him being shoved though, right there.
You see
the shove right there.
Scattering because, you know, people are realizing.
You see him sitting down.
Here. But
you see him get up and then shove him.
Scattering because, you know, people are realizing, oh, somebody's been stabbed here. But again, the video had minimal things to take away outside of the
that happened
itself.
Quick though.
Right. And I was surprised because I remember there was one witness near the end where the prosecution was able to kind of point them out and say, like, so this is where you were at that time. And it's like, I don't even know how they were able to do that because I feel like I'm just looking at pixels. You know, like, you feel like these little, you know, and you understand that there's a ton of people under the tent. You see the colors of Austin Metcalf's school. It's about 7 minutes, 59 seconds in, like the shove happens. I will say you can take away from this kind of the force of the shove, because it seems like, you know, Metcalf, you see him kind of shove, and then there's a reaction from Karmelo, and then we'll talk about like what he does after. But I think that was something. I mean, I look at this, and it wasn't, if you were someone who was, you know, on the side of the defense, it feels like it's a shove. I mean, that's what it is. It doesn't seem like it's this aggressive punch or something like that. And I how do you remember that playing out in the courtroom, just that particular part and kind of the force and how it was described?
You know, there wasn't really much of a real reaction to it because another thing I take away from this, the moment of the video, Chris, is that, you know, the defense was saying, we've heard all through, you know, the social media and the interviews with Karmelo's parents, is that he was like more or less being jumped by a collection of students, you know, 3 to 4 students. The moment in the video doesn't really depict that in any specificity. Of course, again, very pixelated, very, you know, not as quality as we would have liked it to be, but you don't see that at all, you know, because that, to me, that would be a lot more commotion going on. But as far as
it's a nice stadium too.
It was
a high school like this.
It's kind of like you and I watching it here. It wasn't much of a, you know,
that they would have better
cell phone video. You know, all these teenagers have their phones
sped up.
Really graphic, up close and personal, great quality, lots of yelling, and now we have this silent video that looks like it was filmed at a Quick Trip. So it was like people saw the moment, but there was no shocking, you know, no gasp. It was just,
with a key
here it is. And you know, the prosecution even prefaced before they played it, like 2 minutes before they played it, hey, you're not going to be able to see much here. This is why we have this forensic video analyst to kind of talk to us about how he identified who, and, you know, the other different angles of coming in the gates. And we saw Karmelo in a lighter colored hoodie and Austin in these colored shoes. Like, he walked through all that before you got to the moment, because he had to, because if there was none of that, you wouldn't know who you were looking at, right? I mean, you could probably make an assumption based after the moment who's running away and whatever else, but everything leading up to that, you wouldn't know anything.
No, and even looking at the shove now, as you're talking, I'm kind of like just on the final, like, kind of 5 seconds leading up to it, and then you see it, and it's like there's not really, from who I can see as Austin Metcalf, it's like there's not a lot of separation between the two. It's not like a shove where Karmelo almost like falls backwards even.
Yeah,
and
if Austin came right,
where Karmelo almost like falls backwards even.
Yeah.
And like if
not
Austin
like
came right, like it literally is like they're not separated at all. It seems like he had him the entire time. I do think, and there were some questions, I think Karmelo Anthony's parents brought it up, where it's like there's so much,
it seems
like some of the testimony perhaps varied when it comes to how strong the shove was, this and that, and like you do take away.
We spoke about, I really hate to be pausing. I done already left twice. Yeah, I mean, I had to dip out right quick. And I hate to pause it, making this video long. I made it long a little early, but I wanted to speak on this as well, because I spoke on this in my last video that I made on this situation. The friend right here, so they're semi-close. I think Karmelo's friends with his girl or something like that, and them two, I'm guessing they became close over that aspect. Like, Carmelo's been at like all the function him and his family through, and like they're together a lot. They're photographed a lot, all that, right? Throughout the years, not like just the past year, like throughout years of their life. And they tried to say that the friend waved Carmelo over. That's why he was even in the tent, right? But then when the kid right here got to court and he was on the stand, they're asking him like, "Yo, this your friend? This your friend?" Like pretty much asking him all questions about him being your friend, and he was pretty much like, "Yo, I ain't really know him like that. It's not my friend. I wouldn't consider him my friend." And I'm just like, "Yo, that is fucked up. Like that's grimy as hell." You know what I mean? Like, but there's one thing I like to do is I don't just like poke. I'll put myself in someone else's shoes. Like, put yourself in his shoes, right? You stay North Texas, like outside of like north of like Dallas, Fort Worth area, right? Arlington and all that. North of that, majority of this area is white. You know what I mean? Majority of this area is white, and all the people out there, majority of them, probably 9.5 out of 10, were Austin's friends or acquaintances, or they were just on Austin's side alone, period. Like everyone out there, Austin is watermelon felon, get rid of this guy. Carmelo needs to do life. He needs to get the death penalty, et cetera, right? So think about you being him in this situation. You have to live in this town. This is your friend group. You're going to be going to college. I mean, if you go to community college around that area, I mean, even if you don't go to college, you just work in there. You live in this area, and all them same people are your peers. These same people you're going to see every day, whether it's at Walmart, the grocery store, in the mall, if they still have those. When you go out to eat, they're serving you food. All of these people that you ran track with, that you went to school with, that you grew up with, that you're friends with. And if he takes the side of Karmelo Anthony and say, yeah, man, going against, technically everyone was against Carmelo, and he's the only one that say, yeah, that's my friend. He didn't do nothing wrong. He said, don't touch him. I invited him over, and so on and so forth. Then he pretty much be the black sheep of this whole situation and let him know, like, yeah, I invited him over, and what? Carmelo's my friend, and what? Like, think of the things that he got to go through in that town. Like, when he just says, yeah, that's my friend, and exiles himself. Like, he's not going to get service anywhere. He's going to lose every last friend he got. His childhood, granted, I mean, he's technically like an adult because they're around like 18, right? But still, though, like, his life will be a living hell in that city unless he move. But now we're in a digital age, so I mean, moving really doesn't do too much because you're still online. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but just put yourself in his situation. You know what I mean? In that situation, are you gonna go against your entire town and stand up for Carmelo? If that was the situation, if you did wave him over and he really was your friend, or are you gonna be like, yeah, and do what he did? Like, I ain't really know him like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he hung around because he knew my girl and all that, but like, no, we won't like that. I knew him, but I ain't know him. No, I mean, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What would y'all do if you was this guy? You know what I mean? Like, how would you play that? Let me know.
Where it's like, this was almost a year ago, more than a year ago, that all of this happened. And it's so bang, bang, where it's like to remember that moment over and over and over again. I mean, especially when there's not a lot of video, which is surprising because you would think since they were alleged to kind of have been going back and forth, nobody took out a camera phone, which seems to happen a lot. I was surprised, like, just how quickly it happened, and then the force
I don't
itself.
Believe that. In this generation, no one took out a cell phone or recorded anything. You can
see Karmelo Anthony. He leaves the tent. He goes up the bleachers. And
he
then
falls
I'm
at
just
the end.
playing it here. And he's kind of like running down the bleachers a little bit. You see someone kind of going after him and then running back to the tent. And then Carmelo runs his way from the bleachers where eventually it seems
all
like
of these people, they still trying to figure out what happened.
People who are following him. How do you remember that part of the story being told and what we're looking at as we see him in this spot shadow kind of running from the bleachers out of the area where all of this took place?
So, you know, you have the perspective of the prosecutor, You have the perspective of the defense attorney, then you have the perspective of the students who were there. So the prosecutor is obviously saying he's done this heinous thing. He's conscious of what he's done, guilty. He's running away, trying to get away and be anywhere but there because, he's running and then he stops and he walks a little bit. So they were trying to go along with, he's just trying to blend in like nothing happened. That's where the prosecution was going. The witnesses, the student witnesses were kind of echoing the same thing, but some of them testified to how you mentioned someone was running after him and they turned back around, but then you see 2 or 3 more going after him, continuing not to go after him. You don't see them, get in a physical altercation. More so you see them pointing out like, that's him. And that's what they were saying on the stand. Yeah. And then the defense is saying, he ran away. He was scared of what he'd just done. But their whole, key point of the whole situation is that he had opportunity to run out of the stadium and really run away. But he stayed in the stadium. He ran to the track, found an adult, and stayed there. So trying to paint, his character as like, he realized what he'd done, but not in like a malicious way, if I should say. But the thing about it, like when you pointed that moment where he runs to an adult,
should have got up out of there.
That coach took the stand, as well as another coach who was in the vicinity, because there was this woman, this female coach, and both of these coaches, all these coaches are from different schools. There was this female coach from some different high school. The name of the high school is lost upon me right now. But anyway, she was testifying that, she saw a lot of commotion going on, a lot of yelling over where the tent was, right? And then you see those students running out, and they're like, Mrs. So-and-so, it's him. He stabbed somebody. It's him. And she's like, what's going on? And then
just tell him,
as they're
he's
saying
trying to
that,
go
Carmelo's walking past or jogging past, and then she looks to the adult, the coach that, finally embraces him and goes to walking with him around the track. She looks at him like, hey, they're saying he stabbed somebody. Don't let him leave. That's when that coach kind of like puts his arm around him, not like in an aggressive way, just like, hey, son, come here. What are they saying you've done? What have you done? And that's when, as we were talking before a few weeks ago, how that coach is like, hey, what
they
you
running
done?
like
hey,
it was
put his hands on
gunshots
me.
or
I told him
something.
not to. Well, if that kid dies, your life changes here forever today. Carmelo's like, he's not going to die. And the coach is like, okay, but like, if he does. And that's when that coach said he started crying and everything like that. So you had those 3 different narratives from prosecutor, the student witnesses, and the defense attorney inside that courtroom, all kind of echoing the same action, but different sentiments, like as to reasonings as to why he was running.
Yeah, and it's like 1 minute after
This
the
dude gives
stabbing
like
takes place,
very
it's like he's
concise
at the exit
breakdowns.
to the track, it seems, and then he turns
You
around.
can tell he took meticulous
and
notes
then he's
in there.
talking with someone who I think is the adult, and it seems like people are just starting to understand like what happened over on the
Shoulda
bleachers.
hopped
But
that
then he's like
fence and
walking
beat
by
feet.
himself, and then you see another coach come up. So it is something where, and that's what made this case, I think, really difficult for the defense and to an extent the prosecution as well, is like we just don't have anything up close other than the aftermath. And we'll talk about the body cam video and what that shows here in a moment. Going through these images, because again, I hadn't seen them until they were released. You had seen them before, and we had talked about Eddie, who is this teammate of Austin Metcalf, was at the time when the state was questioning him, strong prosecution witness, someone who was very close with Austin Metcalf. And if I remember correctly, he kind of backed off saying that he knew Karmelo Anthony at all. And like some points for the defense, if you want to say that, was that they were arguing that he was invited into the tent, Karmelo Anthony, because Eddie waved him over. And to prove that they had some
Eddie
sort
was a
of
white guy when I
relationship,
just
the
heard
defense
about it.
presented these
It was just like, yeah, you got a friend
pictures of
Eddie.
and
Friend
Karmelo.
Eddie,
and I was
Eddie.
not anticipating them to look as friendly
I didn't think Eddie
as
was
they do
black.
in these images, where it does raise some questions as to why he wasn't more straightforward, it seems, in that moment, that he knew Karmelo Anthony through his girlfriend and they had hung out before. I mean, there's a picture here of them playing Guitar Hero together, which was not something that I was anticipating just based off what he had told the jury when the state was questioning him.
Yeah, and that was a huge moment for the defense, because now it's a credibility issue, right? He's on there, we heard about Eddie in the opening statements from the defense. He was under there to see his friend Eddie. So everyone's awaiting this Eddie Parra kid. Who's this? Why, what does he have to say? And, of course, the question is, if this is your boy, if this is your friend, he's getting into an altercation under the tent. Why aren't you standing up and, hey, everyone chill. It's my guy. Like, we'll get out of here, whatever. So that was a question, just circulating in my mind. So he gets up there and he's testifying for the state, which was already interesting enough to me because the defense made a big deal about him. I expected him to be a defense witness, and then the state calls him. And then he pretty much gets up there and says, like, yeah, I knew Karmelo, but we weren't close. I wouldn't say we were great friends. Going along with his state's testimony. then the pictures you're talking about, the defense is like, oh, not good friends. Here's
This also could have been one of them situations like in the Tory trial. I knew his name, but it's not hitting me right now. But the guy whose house they was out in front of, who said the witness who said he saw it, like when we spoke to the police on the scene, he said he saw the girl shoot. He said he saw the girls fighting. He saw the girl shoot, and fast forward how much like 2 years later, and now he gets to court, and they say right before court he spoke to the prosecution had called him, and he had a side interview, a side conversation with the prosecution, and then directly after that, because the whole time Tory's team was in contact with this guy, right? So, and he was supposed to be the defense witness. He was the witness for Tory. So they brought him on the stand. Just that quick after that conversation with the prosecution, he flipped. The story changed. I saw the short guy with the gun. I saw him shooting everywhere. It could be one of them kind of things. I mean, the prosecution was like, yo, I mean, you got to grow up in this town. I mean, these are your friends. I mean, which side of this you want to be on? I mean, you want to be on Carmelo's side, or you want to be on the side of everyone else? Because Carmelo's going to jail. He's going to prison for a very long time. Which side do you want to be on? I mean, do you want to die on this hill? Or do you just want to say, do you just want to fall back and be like, yeah, I don't know him. It won't really like that, and just maintain, you know what I mean, your separation. So I think the prosecution got to him, for real. They probably was close friends. They was probably cool as hell.
10 pictures that pretty much show otherwise. You know, the Guitar Hero picture, the picture where they're making goofy faces. They're at Eddie's house for Eddie's grandmother's birthday. All this different stuff. So it's like, we're not trying to assume anything, but is Eddie lying? You know, again, the credibility issue.
Eddie lying his ass off.
The thing about it is, Chris, if Eddie's credibility is not good, does that affect the actual moment of what happened? Okay, Eddie, maybe, let's just theoretically, Eddie's not telling the truth. He's just saying whatever he wants to say. Does that have a direct correlation to what happened with the stabbing? And that, I mean, I guess that was for the jury to decide, and clearly they didn't think so, you know, one way or the other. I mean, they sent him away for 35 years. But that was still a big issue there when the defense said, hey, we have the receipts. I don't know what you're talking about up here, but you grew up with this girl. She's dating this guy. Here's pictures of you guys together. There's other witness testimonies, states witnesses that say y'all were, you know, not like buddy, but like, yeah, he went over to Eddie and, you know, they kept saying dapped him up, which is like, you know, a good handshake between the boys. Yeah. So you had testimony about you sitting next to Eddie, and one kid said he switched seats with Eddie and all that stuff. So it was a very confusing time with Eddie's time on the stand, because you heard all these different.
With majority of the people out there being white, and Eddie being like the other black guy that you may have seen, because I mean, the whole video looked like it was shot on a mouse, but he might have been the only familiar face that he really knew out there for real, and he could have been like, "Hey, come over," and then Karmelo came over because like he recognized him. He sat down, chilled with him. It's like, yo, we the only black guys out here. I mean, it could have been one of them type things. You don't know.
Things, and then the challenge by the defense there. So it was like, what's Eddie saying? What's the truth here?
100%, because I think when you look at these pictures, you're like, these people would be not just like friendly, but it seems like they hung out, like the girlfriend's not even in these pictures, and like they're hanging out. You do wonder, and apparently for the jury they felt this way. It's like, okay, so even if he was invited under the tent, whether he shouldn't have been in the tent or should have been in the tent, like the jury apparently didn't really think that really mattered, where the defense seemed to argue like, look, Karmelo Anthony was invited into this tent, whether or not like track culture or anything like that matters. And then he's, you know, the defense would argue he was the victim. Austin provoked it. Austin shouldn't have put his hands on Karmelo Anthony and all of this. Of course, when you respond with force using a knife, you know, that's something where you just wonder, you know, how strong of, you know, this gotcha moment on this witness actually mattered at the end of the day. Speaking of the knife, we have seen it now for the first time. And I'll say, like, this isn't, you know, it's a pocket knife, but it's not like a Swiss Army knife that you would use. I know we talked about like, oh, maybe he likes going camping, and they could argue that. I mean, this is I'm not a knife owner. myself of something like this.
Enthusiast about it, but
right, this is not like a Boy Scout Swiss Army knife that you would have on a keychain back in the day. And I just wonder how much, when this was shown to the jury, does that, because it comes off as an intimidating knife, you know, when you look at it.
Yeah,
and
the
so
serrated
we
edges
didn't
on the
see
end. It looks sharp
the knife
too.
used in the act. We saw an exact replica. Like, so the evidence knife, I guess they have that at wherever they have it at, stored at the police station or wherever. But we saw an exact replica of it, and they were doing demonstrations, and so they saw a picture of the knife used, obviously, and you saw the body cam of the police saying, "Hey, there's still blood and bone fragments on this knife." When they saw it in the bleachers, because there was that rumor around that it was a cleat tool that he stabbed with, and so that was swiftly debunked inside the courtroom. No, this knife is on body cam. Here it is on pictures with blood still kind of on it. Anyway, when they brought the replica knife up, got brought up during an officer's testimony. And so the prosecutor and the officer got in front of the jury box, right in front of the jury, feet away. They could reach out and touch them, just showing the knife how you can, thumb stopper, you can flip it up with one hand if you wanted to, because that was another thing about the speed at which this stabbing happened. Some kids said they turned away, they looked back, and now Austin's on the ground with a hole in his chest. It was just so fast. But one thing that I took away from that testimony from this officer is when they were doing the demonstrations, it kind of, if you weren't listening, you might not have caught it, right? The prosecutor asked them, "Oh yeah, heavy duty knife?" Yes, sir. "This is the kind you kind of carry when you're on duty." "Oh yeah, we use this for cutting seat belts and things like that." It was just a real quick moment. It wasn't like a real emphasized moment, but I was like, maybe he was asking that to show, like, this is a sharp knife. I mean, how thick a seatbelt can be when you're cutting people out of car crashes and things like that. And, I'm pretty sure the point was to show, like, hey, but, on-duty officers carry knives like this. This might not be the most casual knife. Now, again, clearly you can buy this knife probably in your local Walmart or anything like that. It's not like you have to go on and be, a Marine veteran to get this knife. But
100%.
just showing that it's not, like, to your point, not some little Boy Scout knife, the little red cylinder with a little flip out and maybe have some scissors and a corkscrew in there. This was a real knife here.
Well, and it kind of goes to one of the questions that I think we talked about not really being answered, because it's like, this is not an illegal knife we've learned to have in Texas. It's against school policy, but it's not illegal with the length of which, how long it is for him to have it. But when you look at it, the question that comes to your mind is, why would you bring this to a track meet? And that's still, even if that's not something where, like, look, he wasn't charged with any weapons offenses, but it just didn't seem like that was really answered. And like, if just to kind of do if I was,
that's another thing. He wasn't charged with having a weapon on school grounds either. Like, because I think the knife itself has to be like 4 inches and more, or something like that. So it's not illegal, but that's also a charge that they could have hit him with that they didn't.
in the jury, like, when you look at a knife like this, you're like, why would you bring that to a track meet beyond the fact that that question was already being asked in the first place? And the other part too, wasn't it argued that he already had this open in his backpack? What was that? I'm trying to remember.
That was
flip it quick. He probably
it wasn't specified because no one really knows. But to the point I was making just a second ago, the speed at which the stab happened, they were pretty much saying, some of these student witnesses and the prosecution, of course, was compounding upon it, was that the whole touch me and see what happens. His hand's in the bag for however many seconds it was in the bag before everything went down. They're trying to say that put his hand on the knife, opened it while it was in the bag, so once whatever he felt was going to happen, the knife was ready to go, right? That wasn't proven as a fact. Obviously, the defense was saying, oh, it was just a warning and this and that, but the speed at which people were saying this happened, like in the blink of an eye, they didn't even realize, like, even the people who were watching what happened, Austin shoves, whatever happens in 2 seconds, they did not realize Austin was stabbed until he lifted his shirt and blood's everywhere. So that was the whole argument there. Like, this knife had to have been opened when it was in the bag. And that was the point of when they were doing the demonstration with the cop, showing, because he's holding the bag with one hand's in the bag, that you could flip it open with one hand, like with ease.
And
you didn't have to take 2 hands to open it up and then assume whatever position you're going to assume with it. So,
because if he'd have left the knife in, like, that might have actually stopped the bleeding. But being the fact that he poked him, I think it punctured his heart as well. Yeah, it did. It punctured his heart. And then you take it out, now you just got this hole in your chest, and it's just literally leaking blood. And then they doing chest compression, they doing CPR on him, just making your heart pump more. And plus, I'm pretty sure his adrenaline was just going, so he's just leaking. He was gonna bleed out. Like, if they were smart out there, they would have just for one put pressure on it, like just from the jump. You making his adrenaline in his heart race a whole lot more, and plus he was probably going in the shop.
That was the whole discussion.
He was gonna bleed
about
out
that.
regardless.
But again, there was no definitive evidence saying, "Hey, this knife was opened."
And then just lastly, the body cam video. And you know, we see the video that's been released, the body cam. You have the officer who was the first one to interact with Karmelo Anthony, and then there's another 17-second clip that shows the moment, infamous moment, if you will, that was definitely shocking to read in police documents when he says, "I'm not alleged, I did it," something along those lines. And you hear him say that for the first time. It was surprising, I don't know, shocking. I mean, you think of the emotional moment, the coach who said, well, if he dies, you're going to change your life forever. And it's like there's moments where Karmelo Anthony is so calm to the point where he can say, it's not just I'm not alleged. He says, hey, I know how this goes. I'm not alleged. I did it. But then as he get cuffs, there's like this shot of emotion, and you hear him in this like kind of weeping voice. But then like within 15 seconds, he's saying his name very calmly to the police. It was just, again, he's probably in shock with kind of realizing what was happening in that moment. But it was just it's just I don't know. What was your reaction when you saw that for the first time, and just emotionally how he was in those moments?
Yeah, it was kind of a stark dichotomy, Chris, because he's been painted out to be by the prosecution, this murderer, right? This kid who had a knife here. He intended to do these things.
Painted him
went
out
over
to be a Marvel
provoking
villain.
a fight to use this knife. And so when they played this body cam, and we'd heard about the "I'm not alleged, I did it" thing, but when I heard the crying part, when his voice is shaking and he clearly sounds like he's emotional. When I heard that, I was like, oh, maybe there is this heavy remorse here. He's made the worst mistake you could possibly make on this green earth. But at the same time, it's like it was a weird like sensation, because you've heard all this other stuff, and then it's like, wait, he has a little bit of emotion about it. But to your point again, 15 seconds later, he's like, oh yeah, my name's this. He's spelling his name out. I go to Centennial High School. Everything's fine and whatever. So it was like, of course, people process things differently, right? I mean, you've just stabbed somebody. Unbeknownst to him at the time, he didn't know it was to death, but you just stabbed somebody at 17 years old. So I imagine the mental gymnastics going on with that. But hearing that crying was I don't know if shocking is the right word, but I didn't expect it. And the court, I'm looking around when hearing that, the jury's kind of looking at each other, and because you had heard anything about that, and the fact that he's sitting there, he was kind of emotionless throughout the entire trial, of course, till the verdict came down. But hearing that emotion, but then the prosecution harped on, was it performative in the moment, because a few seconds later, you're all, everything's fine, not fine, but everything's mellow, everything's calm given the circumstances. So again, just a stark contrast here when you heard that, and then a few seconds later, yeah, I'm not alleged, I did it.
Who is this?
Cool. This is my age. I go to this school.
Just the guy that's speaking right now, because that ain't Karmelo.
Just a weird.
I don't know
difference
who that
there.
is.
It is, yeah. That's a good way to describe it, because it was just, as you watch all this, you're also realizing like this is Austin Metcalf's final moments. Mm-hmm. And this is Karmelo Anthony as a free person. And I know he was out on bond, but now 35 years, if he serves the full sentence, he'll be out in his mid-50s. And just to kind of see all of it now and put it together, it's just, it was a lot to take in. I think he's up for parole. Cody Thomas from Court TV.
17
great job
18
covering
years.
this trial. Thank you as always for joining us. We appreciate it.
And as always, I appreciate you for having me, man. Happy to do it.
All right, y'all. Well, there you go. We got new footage that showed us nothing. It ain't show us a goddamn thing. I mean, nothing. Granted, you see the push, but I don't like, man, we in 2026, man. What you like? And that was at a high school that looked like they got a nice little stadium. The Booster Club doing what they supposed to do. But they got a camera from the 1930s. But you visibly see the push, but the small details, the little nuances, you can't tell. You can't tell where his hand was in the moment. Was his hand in the bag when he pulled it out? Did he have to switch the knife out, or was it already out and he just got busy with it? Like, you can't really tell anything with that footage that we got right there. Like, it's just there. Here goes something from that stadium. Here you go. You know, like when someone give you money back, take your funky $20. It's like, man, take this bullshit ass video. It showed us nothing. That was the same video that people had posted. Now, it wasn't even that. It was another video. It was just walking in the stadium. And they was like, new footage. The judge grants Karmelo a new trial. Then cut it out. We'll see Karmelo when he, depending on his parole, man, we'll see him. He in his 30s, 40s, or 50s or something, man. It's over with. I mean, I still stand by what I said, especially if you're going by law. Granted, people can bring up a whole lot of laws where white people did similar crimes and they got less time. We know this, right? But everything is situational, because one thing about it, I'm not going to say it just depends on your background, because it does, but Karmelo didn't have a background. But it also goes by state. State laws are different. Like, this wasn't a Fed charge. So, like, the same thing is the same all across the board. Like, no, this was a state charge. States do things in different states. One thing I learned about Texas is premeditation. So, in most states, premeditation is the plan. Like, you could have planned to do this a day earlier, 2 days earlier or something, and now you execute. That's premeditation. You say, all right, I'm going to do this, you do it. That's premeditation. In this situation, premeditation in Texas is in the act still. So it didn't have to be planned out a day before, 2 days before, a week before, a month before. At that moment, when you decide I'm about to stab him, in the state of Texas, that's classified as premeditation, which is fucked up, because that's still in the heat of the moment. That's the heat of passion. Like, he just pushed you after you said, yo, don't touch me, touch me, see what happened, touch me, see what happened, yada, 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 and then he shoves you and you act on it. I mean, but being the fact that in that moment you decided I'm going to stab this guy, in the state of Texas, that's premeditation, and that's fucked up. That's fucked up. But another thing that I said, like in the previous video on this subject, I said, because the judge said in the state of Texas, you can fight force with force. Someone shoves you, that doesn't equal to you stabbing them. So, yeah, Karmelo deserved to go away. I'm not going to hold you. If we're going by the law, yeah, he deserved to go away. Black people just like, nah, man. It was all them big white boys and he was being jumped and so on and so forth and all that. Like, white boy pushed him and then he stabbed him. Like, that's just what it is. I mean, like, black people could be all up in the uproar if y'all want to. If you want to go by the letter of the law, street justice, yeah, he did what he did. Should have did more. Should have American made him. If we're going by street justice, you know what I mean? If you just want to take it out there in a block, it don't matter if you were black, white, purple. It don't matter what Austin was. You know what I mean? It ain't no such thing as a fair fight, right? So, yeah. But we're going by the law. He didn't get tried out there in the street. He didn't get tried out there in the alley. He got tried in a court of law in the state of Texas. You got to go by the law in the state of Texas. And you can fight force with force. A shove don't equal that blade. It don't equal that blade. Like, Karmelo could have pushed him back. He could have fought him. They could have fist fought. And nothing would have happened. They both got a slap on the wrist, stop horse playing. You're not running tonight. You're not running tonight. So on and so forth. All that type. That could have went on. You see what I'm saying? But also, you got to keep your damn hands to yourself, man. You got to keep your hands to yourself. I don't know, man. It's just a lot to unpack behind this entire situation. And another thing that I was hearing about earlier, granted, we already know about the whole no black jurors, right? And we thinking, it's just some small country town in Texas, so it wasn't no black people. Like, no. 3 black people had got that jury letter. They came to court, but they got waived. So the 3 black people that could have been on the jury, they got waived. And why does that matter? In the states of America, like, one thing about it, we always view colorism. So we looking at it like, if it's white against black, and this is a crime where white people are kicking black people's back in, and the white person was the aggressor in our eyes, you want somebody black up there to be like, yo, stand up for us, because no white person should be putting their hands on a black person. So a black person might, all it takes is one on a jury to say, nah, I don't believe he's guilty of it. The white boy should have kept his hands to himself. And he would have walked. Just like that, he would have walked. Or, no, matter of fact, it had just been a hung jury. I had a hung jury. And then the prosecution would have had the decision to retry the case or just drop it. But all it takes is one to say, nah, that's it. But being the fact that all the black jurors got dismissed, that's like, oh, that's foul. That's foul because you're not even in the playing field. It's just, all right, we're white. White kid got stabbed. All these white people up here is going to take the stand on his behalf. Got the white parents up here crying on the news. We're going all white. So it's like, so I said all that to say, me personally, I think it should be some kind of DEI system in juries. It really should. It should be some kind of DEI system in juries. It should be some kind of DEI system when it comes to policing in general. Because if you just got a bunch of white people trying to police, nothing good happens. You got a bunch of white people that's just in the courts, nothing happens. But in situations where it's a black on white crime, a white on black crime, and you have technically an all white jury. I think there was some other races up there, but it wasn't any black. Like, that's a recipe for disaster anyway, because if people are on a jury, if they would have got, if it was 12, it was like 12 white people and they would have found Karmelo innocent, then people from that city would have found out who was technically the hard head on the jury, and would have, who knows what would have happened. They would have been outside their house. They would have had a hard time just living the rest of their life. They might have had to go on and get with the program too, because what you gonna do? Go against your whole city? Go against the nation? Like, this is a national trial. It was a big trial. The whole case was big. You see what I'm saying? Like, especially with the whole race thing now, with the whole Chud the Builder and all that, and all these white supremacists coming out. Like, they was hiding for a good little minute, but now the white supremacists like, yeah, we're here. Fuck all y'all black people. Like, they are just here right now. So it's like, case like that, you need a balance. My personal opinion, it need to be some kind of DEI when it comes to jury selection. And also, as black people, when y'all get that jury letter, don't just rip it up. Or don't go to court trying to talk yourself out of being off the jury. You might have a black guy there who's actually innocent. And you could be the deciding factor. You see what I'm saying? Like, we can't just keep saying, oh, man, the jury did this, the jury did that, the jury did that. But when y'all get that letter, y'all not trying to be the ones to help. Like, people quick to say what should have been done, what could have been done, what would have been done. Or if I would have, like, yo, some of y'all be getting the opportunity and you just don't act on it. Like, anytime you see a jury, like 9 times out of 10, they're all white. Majority of white or of other races. It's like black people quick to talk about what they would do in a situation, but if you get faced with the situation, they just run from it. Like, man, I got to go to work. Man, I'm not going to court. I'm not doing this and that. Man, I got kids. I got a baby. Like, yo, I ain't got no sitter. Like, they just be making up all types of excuses to not help the situation. Like, the same time when like, for the longest, they was just talking about police brutality, police killing black people. Granted, I know the revolving door. Like, as black people, you catch charges early and you can't even qualify to be a police. But if you have a clean record, black people that's complaining about police brutality and police just overstepping the law and just harassing black folks, y'all need to be on the force. Like, black people need to police black people. You see what I'm saying? Like, granted, it shouldn't even be colorism, but I'm a realist. In this society, it just is. You see what I'm saying? But one thing about black people are going to complain. So instead of complaining, you need to be a part of the solution. You know what I mean? Try to get in them courtrooms. Try to become a lawyer. Try to become a defense attorney. Try to become a police officer. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't just keep complaining about the system if no one's going to do anything. Like, it should have been black people on that jury. Black people in that town might have got that jury letter. The easiest way to get out of jury duty is to say, yo, I know something about the case. They got to throw you off. You know what I mean? Because they ask you the question. I've been through a jury trial, not me, as a defendant. And they had to do the whole vetting the people to see who's gonna make the jury, who wasn't gonna make the jury. I had no black people in my jury, not one. But I don't know. It just is what it is, man. But what y'all think about this, man? Like, this whole case from front to back. You know what I mean? Like, please give me your breakdown of it, because it's layered. It's definitely layered, because it's like, why would you have the knife? Were you caught under the tent? If you felt the way, why didn't you just give him under the tent? Just because, granted, it's the whole fight or flight thing. Plus, he got pride. It's like, man, it's rain. I'm not about to give him under. I get it. But then to de-escalate, it was another tent over there. Like, I'm going to go sit over there with them because, man, this dude tripping. I ain't trying to use this knife right now. I'm going to just leave. You know what I mean? Why couldn't it have been that? Why couldn't Austin have left his hands to himself? Austin ain't have to say nothing to Carmelo. He'd have still been alive. But I don't know. It's so layered. But let me know what y'all think. Man, like, comment, subscribe, share. Make sure y'all share. Feel me? Follow me on Instagram at Street Costello. Follow me on TikTok at Street Costello. Hit that little notification bell so when I make videos, you get notified. Like, yo, Street just dropped another video reacting to something. You know what I mean? But, yo, I'm out. Chill.